Today I fucked up by destroying my asshole and my bed. Obligatory too long didn't read, at the bottom. Okay, so this happened just a few hours ago. My BF, 19M, and I, 19F, were watching YouTube in bed before going to sleep and I started feeling a little frisky. For context, we haven't had sex in a while due to work and other things getting in the way, so I thought it'd be nice to have a bit of fun. So yeah, eventually we start doing the shabam bam and all's well until he decides he wants to go on top. Since we were originally planning to go to sleep really soon, the lights were off, this is important later, and we couldn't really see anything except vague outlines. So he flips me over onto my tummy and we resume. He starts going faster and faster until I shift a little to get more comfortable and he slams his dick at full speed directly into my asshole. I, of course, start shrieking in pain. He starts yelling and panicking and stumbles over to the light switch. He turns the light on and starts panicking even more. I feel something wet between my asshole and vagina and I touch it and see that it's blood. Apparently he rammed into my butt so hard that he made 2 long cuts, about ½ an inch long each one, between my vagina and butthole, and there's bruising all around plus a swollen blue-black lump on the wrinkly part of butthole itself. When I see this I start freaking out and crying even more. BF starts to call an ambulance and I get even more upset and beg him not to because number 1, it's 2 AM where we are, and number 2, I'm naked and bleeding and very embarrassed. Eventually agreed to let it be for now and then we went to have a bath. Problem is, although I quickly grabbed a towel and put it under me, when I saw the blood I didn't get all of it in time and there was so much that it soaked through the duvet, sheets, protector and onto the mattress. I grabbed a wet sponge and started scrubbing at it, but then BF told me to leave it and come have a bath and clean up for a while. However, we spent a while trying to calm down in the bath, and since I'd scrubbed at the stain I've now accidentally made it even worse and now it won't come out at all, at least according to the top Google searches I did. I've tried soaking it, using dish soap and scrubbing it, but it's now gone brown. Googled some stain removing techniques, but since I don't get paid until a week's time we don't have enough money to get hydrogen peroxide or anything like that. Anyways, on a brighter note, we've set up a pillow fort in the living room now, with our remaining blankets and pillows that escaped the line of fire, and we're snuggling while I've got a bag of frozen peas tucked between my butt cheeks. Too long didn't read, had sex, went too fast and butthole is now a war wound. Didn't clean up the right way / fast enough, so bed is also a casualty. If you have a rip from your rectum to your vagina, you should absolutely go to the ER and have that sewn up. You could have prolapse in the rectum as well from what it sounds. Stay safe, kids. Today I fucked up by not going to the doctor when my asshole was ripped open. But seriously, you think you fucked up now? Wait until you have to shit. Go to the fucking doctor. You said these gashes are quite large. How are you going to keep shit, literal and figurative, from getting in and getting infected? They could need stitches or at minimum a covering of surgical glue to keep them closed to the environment. You don't want to end up with a colostomy bag because your BF made a hole in 2. And I'm sure you're mortified at the thought of seeing a doctor, but please know, they've seen everything. Our most embarrassing injury is just a Wednesday for them. They won't judge. They might not even remember you in a few hours. Go get checked out. This sounds absolutely awful. Please see a doctor to see that this doesn't get infected. Good news is that hydrogen peroxide is cheap and can be found at any pharmaceutical convenience store and most large chain grocery stores. I keep a big bottle on hand for period bed stains. Please do not use hydrogen peroxide on open wounds. However, I have found that it helps me with acne. I'm acne free for 3 years. Edit 2. A lot of people are asking and messaging about the acne part. I have a lot of allergies and sensitivities that exacerbate acne, and disqualify 90% of the skincare products on the market. What I do to prevent this is, A. I eat right and exercise regularly, B. I keep clean, don't touch my face and wash my bedding regularly, and C. For skincare routine, I wash my hands with soap and face with water, steam my face with a warm wet new towel, rinse my face again with water. If I have pimples coming up or existing, I will apply a little bit of hydrogen peroxide to the area using a tip. If this is because of my skin specific pH balance or whatever, or if it's because acne is is essentially bacteria and oils and such, but it's always worked to shorten the lifespan of pimples and stop breakouts from erupting. I didn't know that a dick could do so much damage. It looks like a WMD wiener of mass destruction. I accidentally did the exact same thing to my wife last weekend. I've never heard her scream so loud. Thankfully my dick isn't big enough to do that much damage. Today I fucked up by liking physics more than boobs, NSFW. This didn't happen today, but about 3 years ago. I was 17 at the time and my then girlfriend, 16, was over. We were pretty fresh together at that point and had basically next to no sexual experience. We were making out and I was pushing her shirt up, but it kept falling down, because turns out, if you are upright that's what shirts are supposed to do. So she asked me if it bothered me that it kept falling down. A normal person would take that hint, but it turns out I probably like physics more than I like women. So I answered with a plain no, that's gravity, and left the shirt down. It wasn't until she went home a few hours later that I realized what a nerd I was. Too long didn't read. Girlfriend asked me to take off her shirt, I didn't understand and just cited to physics. Coffee doesn't mean coffee. I mean, if the president of Burundi asks do you want a cup of coffee, it probably does. But otherwise you have a point. To be fair, that's a mutual fuck up. Girl probably went home thinking today I fucked up by not asking my BF to take my shirt off. This is actually the first time I see this side of it. I can cringe less now. Now it makes sense why Newton died a virgin, lol. You made the right choice. Yeah, fuck people who don't like physics, am I right? Ignore the infidels. Boobs are temporary, physics are eternal. Today I fucked up by doing the dirty with an aunt and niece. Obviously this didn't happen today. This is my first post on this subreddit and it's too good of a story not to share. Good in the memorable sense, not moral sense. So this has a few twists and turns, but I'll try to keep it to the minimum and leave out some of the more incriminating details. I travel a lot for work and I sometimes end up staying for a couple of nights in different parts of the country. I don't mind it since the company pays for accommodations and gives me a per diem, so I'm always quick to volunteer whenever something comes up if it means I can go somewhere for a few days on the company's dime. So anyways, one of the towns that we repeatedly have dealings with is this tiny little place in the middle of nowhere. I kinda like these types of places because I can drop into some random bar and get some local color, and being the new guy in town has its advantages with the novelty of a fresh face, where everybody seems to know everybody, if not by name, then at least by sight. Last summer, late June, I went to this place and hooked up with a girl in her early 20s, really sweet but obviously not looking for anything serious. Let's call her Emma. The next time I was in town, in mid-July, I went back to the same place, which was more like a restaurant with a bar attached to it that had a patio, and I have to admit, I was looking for her, but she wasn't there. I felt a bit stupid to text here, for whatever reason, so I ended up hooking up with an older woman, let's call her Zoe, who kinda looked like her and was into all sorts of fetishes, some I didn't even know existed, oh to be so naive again, and was really open about everything. I don't know if it's my upbringing or what, but I've never been too comfortable talking about sexual stuff. It's always been more intimations and suggestions and things of that nature, but never in-depth conversations about minutiae, or maybe it was that she was much more experienced and that's why. Like she went into detail about some of her past sexual encounters and we recreated some of them to the tiniest detail, even me saying stuff that the dude had said and her repeating the same things she had said at the time, like she was reliving it. In any event, she was pure filth. We said our goodbyes after a few memorable nights and I have to say, if there ever was a before and after in my sexual life, that was it. It goes without saying that the next time the opportunity to go back to the town presented itself, in early September, I jumped at the chance. I texted Zoe as soon as my line manager approved the trip, but she only replied the next day saying that she was on vacation in Greece and it was too late to reschedule the trip, so I ended up going anyways. Given my previous good luck at the restaurant/patio, I ended up going back there and, lo and behold, Emma from June was there. One thing led to another and she came back to my hotel room, and having been initiated into all sorts of fetishes, and now knowing how to talk about these things without sounding like a complete perv, I was delighted to see that she was up for almost everything that Zoe was into. Maybe not as filthy and the dirty talk wasn't the same level, but she was definitely open-minded. That was something Zoe taught me, that people are generally open to try new things if you go about it the right way and have open communication, and she even told me, almost as if she was training me, that with my future partners I should do things like this and that. She even called me her little science project. So I managed to make it back to the town one more time before Christmas. It must have been mid-November, and I was kinda torn about who I should contact. Emma was much closer to my age and was a lot of fun, but I was too curious about what else Zoe had in her repertoire, especially given our missed connection earlier in September. So we got together and she asked me how I'd been faring since the last time we met, how her little science project was doing, and I told her about the 3 women I'd hooked up with since her, 2 in my hometown, that's another story, and Emma. I don't know why, but I didn't tell her that Emma was from her hometown. I just kinda felt like it was some kind of insult to Zoe, encroaching on her territory or whatever, I don't know, I just didn't. For whatever reason she was fixated on what Emma and I did, and how, and so on. But we went through the same thing of recreating past sexual encounters, and now I had one that I could share that she seemed to really get into, whereas before it was basically all her past experiences. Fast forward to Christmas. I usually send mass texts to people wishing them Merry Christmas with a picture of me and my dog doing something goofy for a laugh. So I send one to everybody, almost 50 people, and Zoe doesn't reply, but Emma replies with a picture of her family opening presents. My fucking jaw hit the floor. I did one of those close your eyes and pretend it isn't happening and wish it away ordeals, and didn't reply. Then about an hour later she goes, "How do you know my aunt? Why did you send her a text?" I don't reply. Then maybe 10 minutes later I get a barrage of expletives. Nothing from Zoe. Then about 3 days later I get an all-cap one-word text from Zoe, "Twat." So yeah, too long didn't read. I did unspeakable things with 2 women who end up being aunt and niece, then gave them the news as a Christmas present. You did nothing wrong TBH, they were both on the lookout for ONS. Not your fault they both chose you. I like this perspective. It does nothing for the bottomless pit of cringe in my stomach, but I'll take it. I misread the title as my aunt and niece and was therefore severely disappointed. Obviously, lesson 1, don't group blast your hookups. Yeah, that was the real fuck up. I personally wouldn't send a group text blast to a bunch of people who, within the group text, don't know each other. You may have fucked up, but I don't see how it was totally your fault. Honest mistake requiring an apology, that's it. If they don't like that, TS, they didn't know you knew them both, you didn't know they were family, shit happens. I don't think he owes anyone an apology. I mean, what did he do? Hook up with 2 perfectly consenting different women who knew the situation going into it? It's a double standard, particularly on the aunt's part. If anyone is owed an apology, it's the op for the reaction. At most it warranted a "well, this is awkward," which is understandable. If they've got such a problem with his actions, then surely they have a problem with their own behavior, and having it brought into the light because of the family dynamic has shamed them, as it were. I'm all for promiscuity and being slutty, but if you don't stand by your own liberated behavior or find it disturbing in your kin, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons and you're a hypocrite. You send group text? You monster.